In this episode of Burton Builds, a bottle rocket. Yeah! Yeah! How's it, guys? Just need to get some lights on quickly. Aha. Okay, there we go, that's better. Welcome back to another episode of Garage Builds projects or whatever it is I've got going on here. And today we're going to be building, we're going to be building one of these. We're going to be building one of these guys. Not a bottle, but a bottle rocket. should be quite fun. I've done a few of these in the past, and today we're actually going to modify a design that is known to work. Well, known to work because I've made it before and it does work. But we're just going to improve on it slightly. So, yeah, let's get started. These are basically going to be all of our parts that we need for the project. One of the things that we're going to need is, what is this? It's 50mm PVC or UPVC. I'm not actually too sure which one it is. It should be somewhere here. It's proudly made in South Africa, so supporting local. So we're going to need that, and then we're going to need some things like these 50mm T-joints. There's a 90-degree inspection little whatever you want to call it. There's some end caps, that's for sealing off the ends, and we've also got some joiners. These little joiners are 20mm joiners, and that we'll use for this 20mm conduit that I've got. We're going to need a bottle. Don't worry about the bucket, you don't need one of those. Oh, and yeah, a little bit of skill. I think before we actually get to the making of everything, let me show you the design that I had previously. Just hang on there. I'm gonna. It's hanging up over there. Shit. Here it is over here. So this is not a very good design. Well, the working part of the mechanism works really well, but the rest of it is a bit bulky and difficult to carry around. So yeah, the main design sort of feature that we're going to take off of this specific design is just the sort of launching tube, the sealing mechanism, and the trigger mechanism. But otherwise, that's pretty useless to us now. So let's get started in making our new bottle rocket launcher. What can I sit on? Where's that bottle? The basic principle behind the bottle rocket that we're going to be making, well, any bottle rocket actually, is the need to basically pressurize our bottle, and it will have a small amount of water in it, and then when we release that pressure, it's just going to shoot up into the air. Some good fun that you can have with friends, or if you've got kids, that type of thing. It's also a nice project to make with your son or your daughter if that's something that she's into. We need a kind of a stand pipe, and then we need something to seal around our bottle's edge. So let's have a look at it. Like that. Like that. I just realized what this is going to look like. Oh my, okay, shit. That was very much unintentional, but literally this is what it's going to look like. Okay, the basic design we're going for is it'll have a small stand, not like the other one that had a very big stand. So we're going to have kind of two big tubes on the bottom, and they're going to be sort of welded, or not welded, plastic welded, into kind of a triangle, and then off the top of that is going to be the part where the bottle rocket goes onto, like that. One of the most important things about a bottle rocket is pressure, of course, in the bottle, and to keep that pressure in the bottle you need to make a very good seal between our pressure system at the bottom and the bottle. Looking at the seal, now there's a couple of different ways to do this, and I've seen that on YouTube. If you just YouTube bottle rockets, you'll see there's hundreds of the things around, lots of different designs, but this is the one that I found works pretty well. It actually works really well, and it's simple to make. Let's say that's our bottle, right? And this is the part where you put the lid in. We're going to have a pipe going through the center of the bottle, and that's where our air pressure is going to go through. So what we need around this pump is we need a rubber seal like that. We're actually going to use 2 rubber O-rings, so they'll be in those positions there. There'll be one at the bottom and then one at the top. Those O-rings create a seal between our upstand pipe and the bottle. We'll also use some lubrication on the sides, some petroleum jelly, whatever you've got lying around, and that ensures the bottle can slide off nicely as the catch or the release mechanism is pulled or released. On most bottles, where's our bottle? Oh no, here's a random bottle. Okay, so this bottle is a little bit smaller than what's needed. You can see it's got this little kind of lip that runs around. That's part of the, I think it's part of the forming process. It's when the bottle is blown, the machine holds onto that little grip. That little sort of edge is over here. We're going to make these little clamps that clamp onto that edge. So we push our bottle on, we clamp the clamps in, and then we pump the bottle up really hard to a couple of bars, and then we pull our little string or release mechanism, and these little clamps, they let go of the bottle, and then it goes. All the parts that you're going to need are going to be in the video, so watch the video. Our base, we're going to build it using these 2 T-pieces, and they're going to be mounted onto this 90-degree bend, like so. Okay, so it's a nice little base to keep the bottle rocket sturdy. We're also going to take care of these big holes over here. It's pointless having big holes if you're trying to hold a lot of pressure. We're going to put these end caps onto each side of our T-piece. So each of the T-pieces will have them. The 90 degree is going to be mounted like that with the inspection part facing upwards, and the piece that screws off, this little piece here, we're going to use this little, I don't know what you would call it, indent, or it's part of its design, and we're going to mount the bottle sort of launching system on the top of that. So once it's all done, then we can actually take it apart, and it's easy to transport. You're going to need one of these things. It's the valve that comes with a car tire. You could probably go down to any one of your local tire shops and buy these things. They're a few cents each, and they work really well for holding pressure and pumping our little system up. The first thing that we need to do is cut 4 pieces of pipe 70 millimeters long, and that's going to be part of the base. To make our project nice and neat is to cut through the pipe at, at a 90-degree angle, like straight through. Now, there's many things that you can use. You can use something like this. This is actually designed for cutting skirting, where you put a piece of wood in. But we can put our piece of pipe in there, and then it's got slots that you can put your saw in, and you can saw off 90 degrees or 22.5 degrees or 45 degrees. But if you don't have one of those, and you want to mark off a line, a perfect line all the way around your piece of pipe, what you can do is measure. Now, what did I say? It's got to be 70 millimeters. There's our 70 millimeter mark, and you can just take a piece of paper, just a flat piece of paper with a nice flat side, and you actually just roll it around. You roll it around the pipe, just like that. This loose end, the corner of the piece of paper, this corner, if you just get that to line up with the rest of the piece of paper that's already around the pipe, then you'll have a perfect line around tube. Then what you can do is you can take just a Koki or whatever it is, and you just trace around the piece of paper. Remove our piece of paper, then we're left with a line around the tube, and that line is sort of perfectly 90 degrees to the tube anywhere along the line. That's just a nice little trick. So when we're cutting, we can take our saw now, and instead of just trying to cut straight through, we can cut, we cut a small piece, and then we roll the pipe and we cut it again, and we roll the pipe and we cut it again, and then we cut all the way along that line. And what you're going to be left with is a nice flat 90 degree piece of pipe. Okay, let's I'm keen to try this thing actually. To join these 2 pieces to our 90-degree bend, we need to cut 2 pieces of this 50mm pipe, 45mm long. You know, I saw this thing at the at the charity shop a few days ago, and it was marked at like 20 rand. So I thought, well, what do I need it for? Since I bought it, I think I've used it. I've probably used it 10 times already. That's going to be the base for our bottle rocket, and we're going to mount this piece of pipe in there, and our bottle, which is somewhere, that bottle is going to go over the pipe, and then we'll have a valve probably over there. We'll pump it up, and then the release mechanism releases and the bottle shoots off. We need to get a small piece of pipe to go inside our 20mm conduit. Now, I don't have a small piece of pipe, so what we're going to have to do, we're going to cut a short piece off, and then we're going to slit it down the middle, we're going to fold it in, and then we're going to force it into that tube. The length doesn't really matter, but all that we want is 2 pieces of pipe and a very small little gap, probably 2 or 3 millimeters, maybe 4 millimeters, and then this piece of pipe is going to go inside like that. I've sort of cut a small piece out of the middle. We're going to squeeze this part together, and then we're going to push it inside of the conduit. Now, this is kind of a trial and error process where you've got to cut a small slither off and squeeze it, see if it fits in. If it doesn't, you've got to cut some more off and some more, and carry on doing it until you can squeeze the pipe just closed, and then it just slides inside the other piece of pipe. Together, what you're left with is 2 straight pieces of conduit, one on either side, and you're left with a recess. Now this recess is where you're going to slide the O-rings over, and you're actually going to clip them on. You're just going to have to go down to one of your local stores and see, you know, which sizes you can get. Insert 2 of them, because we want a double seal. Slide the piece of pipe on or together. So what we're left with is our conduit, and then we're left with, in the center, 2 O-rings. We're just applying some Vaseline onto the rubber seals. We're going to slide it into the bottle, the bottle's neck, or the bottle's opening. There we go, and that's it. So these O-rings now are more than good enough to seal and hold the pressure that we're working with. What you also might want to do is just buy a few extra O-rings, because over time they do perish and crack, and then you can just slide a new one on when you need to. Once you know that your seal is going to work, then we actually want to glue this whole lot together. Now, we want an easy way to locate this every time. We're going to take just a straight coupler. This is a 20mm coupler, and we're going to mark it. So at the bottom of the bottle, we'll just put a sort of put the coupler on there, and then we'll mark the point. We want the coupler to be in that position. Okay, so we're going to cut the pipe appropriately, and then we'll glue the coupler on. You push the bottle on down to the coupler, and now the seal is sitting right over there. So every time you push the bottle on, it will seat and it'll be in the correct position. Once we've put the coupler on, then we're going to glue another piece of pipe underneath the coupler. This piece of pipe is going to go onto our base. We now need to make the release mechanism. So what we're actually going to use, and this, I didn't come up with this release mechanism, I found it on YouTube. I'm not actually sure who came up with it, but it works really well. And it's using cable ties. I made this one yesterday just to make sure that the glue dries. It's made in exactly the same way as this one that we made today. If you notice, these are very small cable ties, and the cable tie is the little point where you would normally push the cable tie through. that is facing the bottle. You can see the little end is facing towards the bottle, and we're going to just kind of put a couple of them around the bottle. So we're going to space them so that that little edge grips over the edge of the bottle. Now we're going to do that to all of the cable ties around the bottle or around the pipe, and I just used a little bit of duct tape and then a cable or a hose clamp, and I tightened the hose clamp around the cable ties, and now all of these cable ties, if you kind of squeeze them together, they grip onto the flange on the bottle. Of course, we're not going to be sitting holding this bottle while it goes off. We need a way of releasing those cable ties. So what I've got here is a piece of 40mm PVC pipe. We're going to slide this piece of 40mm piping over the cable ties. So what you've got is that when you slide your bottle on and you slide this piece up, there we go. It holds the cable ties nice and firmly around the bottle's flange. So the process is filling the bottle with some water. We'll put the bottle on and we'll lock it in place. And once there's pressure in the system, then you can just pull down this little pipe. And once you pull that pipe down, it releases the bottle and the bottle will fly off. The last thing that we need to do now, make a hole in there and then glue this piece of pipe into the base. The very last thing that we need to do is install our little tire valve, and we're going to put that onto one of these little ends. It's one of the ends that go on the base of our rocket. Drill a hole the correct size, and then we're just going to take this little thing, we're going to push it through, kind of pull it and settle it into place, and it should seal. So let's go and do that. Okay, so now that we've got our valve into the end cap, we can glue it all together. So that's going to go on like that, and we'll stick our pump on that side, and it's pretty much ready to go. There is one more thing that you might want to do, and that is to make kind of a remote trigger. So if you want to use it, you can pump it up and then you can kind of just stand away from it and pull the trigger down with your own hand. Or if you don't feel like getting wet, because generally anything in this area will get wet, you can drill two little holes. There's one on that side, one on that side. You can tie a piece of string on it, and then you kind of hook the piece of string underneath this little V, and then you can stand some distance away. You just give the string a tug, and what it does is it then pulls the release and lets the bottle off. We're going to go outside and test it, but we're not going to test it right now. You'll have to come back for the next video if you want to see it being tested. But otherwise, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe to my channel. Also, don't be afraid to leave comments in the comment section below. I'm always up for reading what people have to say about what I've made. And if you've got any ideas on whatever you want to see made, I will try my best to do what I can with the tools that I have. Otherwise, until next time,